Okay, let's get going. Welcome everyone to the Diversity Project's annual event wellness session. We're so glad that you're here. I'm joined here today by Dr. Stacey Graham, founder of Ghostspire and diversity, equity and inclusion consultant at Tri Yoga. My name is Dinesha Mendes. I'm founder of Sunday Unplugged and head of RFP at Close Brothers Asset Management. There's quite a few of you now dialing in. It's so great to see all the names coming up. So thank you so much for making some time with us today. It's so good to try to find some space to co-create a little bit of mindfulness. Before I give you an overview on today's session, I just wanted to make sure that you have the highest quality experience. So as I'm giving the overview on mindfulness, perhaps you want to get some headphones, or you want to get an additional cushion, or you want to find anything you can to increase your comfort. And this is in this experience. This is your space. We're not at work. You're safe. And make sure that you create what you need for that. So we will start our session today with a brief introduction on what is mindfulness. Then Dr. Stacey will lead us through a guided visualization, followed by a short mindfulness session on breathing, which I will lead. So, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness has been quite the buzzword in the last decade or so. Its roots actually stem many thousands of years ago in Buddhism, in the Buddhist philosophy. But what's very useful for us has been the secularization of it when it came to the West. And the key thing that also happened then is that it was connected to science. And there have been so many different studies conducted across leading universities in the world on the benefits of mindfulness. And we know from so many studies out there that mindfulness and a regular practice of mindfulness, it reduces stress and it helps you in your ability to manage stress. It increases your focus. It improves your ability to pay attention, focus, and concentrate. It improves emotional regulation and emotional intelligence, which is useful for conflict resolution. It's also been proven to increase empathy and respect in our understanding of others. What I found in my own practice in particular is that it increases resilience. So it increases the capacity to overcome challenges. And there's also all kinds of connections to improved physical well-being and creativity. However, despite all these scientific studies and evidence that people have found, what I found over the years is not the science, but your own anecdotal experience of it. So your own personal experience of mindfulness. And most of you have actually practiced mindfulness at some point in your lives, if not on a daily basis. So you might have sat on a mountain and just found that you've suddenly surrendered to something bigger. Perhaps you have a memory of dancing for hours and hours and being in a zone, or riding your bicycle in the crisp morning sun. So any time in your life when you've experienced really being in the zone is probably when you were being mindful. So I found over the years that mindfulness is not just about sitting on the floor cross-legged and trying to stay still. That is actually quite an advanced practice. I found that mindfulness is about finding the most truthful and meaningful way of connecting to yourself amid different conditions throughout the day, and in particular the working day. So in those moments when those stressful emails come flying in, or when the kids interrupt you, or you've suddenly realized frantically that you've forgotten to take the bins out, a strong mindfulness practice will help enable you to step back and look at the bigger picture. There's quite a number of great teachers out there, and we'll send through some resources after this session. John Kabat-Zinn should be mentioned, Pema Chodron, my favorite. But it's Mark Williams, whose work at Oxford Mindfulness Centre, which I was also a beneficiary of, who has many useful definitions. And he says that mindfulness means knowing directly what is going on inside and outside of ourselves, moment by moment. I'll say that again. Mindfulness means knowing directly what is going on inside and outside of ourselves, moment by moment. This is not something that you'll pick up in a 12-week course. It's actually a lifelong journey to truly knowing who you are and what you need. So before we start, throughout the session, you'll probably find that your thoughts are wandering at some points. You'll be there on this sort of sailboat of meditation in the open sea, and then suddenly this thought will come in like, oh my God, I forgot to send that to my boss. That's fine. You're doing it right. There's no right way of doing mindfulness. There's only the right way for you. And I found two useful angles of thinking about a strong mindfulness practice. One is that if you imagine the M1 motorway where there's lots of lanes of traffic and all these cars buzzing past, but you're in the car and you're safe and you'll get from A to B. And if you want, you can choose your thoughts and take an exit and go off in a country lane and slow down. The second one, which is actually my favorite, and this is what I use in all my practices and all my meditations, is something I found at a time in my life when I really struggled. I'd been signed off work for stress, and I spent quite a lot of time in nature. And here I realized that we are not our thoughts. And this is also quite key in mindfulness practice, that we are not our thoughts. We are also our intuition. We are our bodies, we are our souls, and we are energy fields. So just looking at our thoughts and just believing our thoughts can be quite a harmful way in the relationship with ourselves. So what I found in that time when I was off sick was that I was sort of looking at the clouds and I realized, our thoughts are just like these clouds in the sky. So if you're the sky and you're this bright blue thing, and then these clouds come in, which are these thoughts, and the weather conditions change on a daily basis. So it can be rainy, it can be sunny, it can be overcast, it could be pouring down and there can be thunder. But actually, you know that this is transient and it's impermanent. So before we get going, can I invite you all to sort of circle your shoulders a little bit and shake it off as you can. And then take a deep breath with me. And out. And you can be as loud and weird as you want because you're all on mute and we can't see you. So let's do that one more time. And again. And with that, it's my great pleasure to hand over to Dr. Stacey Graham.
Thank you, Denisha, for that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful introduction. And now I'd like to invite everyone to just take a moment to look around the room that you're in. You likely use this room for a myriad of different things. And now in this moment and for the next several minutes, you'll be creating an environment in this space where you can relax and become fully present. So just take a moment to look in your room, look around, and notice if there's something out of place that you want changed. And if there is something out of place, I invite you to now change it so that there's no small detail that's going to disturb you for the next 20 minutes or so. And then once you've done that and you feel like everything is where it needs to be, find your seat. And for this first part, this guided visualization, it's more of a relaxation before you move into a breath practice. So I invite you, you're welcome to come into a lying down position, or you're welcome to stay seated. If you're super tired or feeling like you could fall asleep, I'd invite you to stay seated upright, perhaps sitting comfortably on your sofa or on a chair, taking both of your feet to the floor and bringing them into a parallel position, grounding into the earth. If you choose to lay down, then take a cushion to support the head and the neck. And already in this process of getting ready, you have an opportunity to become mindful. What do you need right now? What does your body need right now? As you come into that position, it doesn't matter if you're lying down or seated. Allow the backs of the shoulders, the shoulder blades, to become heavy and move down the back. The tops of the shoulders roll back and away from the ears. The neck as an extension of the spine. And in doing this, you might find that your chest is able to open more. There's more room in the front body. And at your own pace, I invite you to turn your gaze inward. Your videos are off. You don't have to worry about looking at the screen. Simply follow our voices. During the longer pauses, I will mute myself so you don't have to worry about hearing anything in my background or my breath. But know that I'm here with you. Become aware of your breath without trying to control its depth or rhythm. And if your breath isn't available to you at this time, bring your attention into the sensory experience of your body. With each exhalation, allowing yourself to relax more, settle in deeper. As your body relaxes evermore, you can also relax your mind as you focus on the guided imagery that begins now. Imagine that you are outdoors at dusk. It's still light out, but the sun has set below the horizon. It's a pleasant temperature, and you're in a safe, peaceful place on the countryside. Maybe you're on a farm, or you're in the mountains, or wherever else feels safe and comfortable to you, in a picture-perfect landscape, a place of calm, a place where you can enjoy watching the starry sky at night. See the grass around you. You might see some trees or rocks or even just wide open fields. Smell the fragrances of your surroundings. Perhaps there are flowers in bloom or wet grass. Feel yourself relaxing and simply enjoying the solitude. The sky is becoming gradually darker. The highest part of the sky is a deep indigo color, becoming darker and darker as the moments pass. At the horizon, the sky is an interesting shade of pink, mixed with gray in the fading light. It's very peaceful watching the sky darken. The air around you is still and calm. In the distance, you can hear crickets and frogs as they sing. Looking at the horizon, shapes such as distant trees or buildings are in silhouette. Your eyes are slowly adjusting to the decreasing light. As you gaze up at the sky above, it stretches from horizon to horizon like a vast dome. You begin to notice the stars. Without trying to name or count them, you gaze at the light that is radiating from the sky. Observe the starlit sky. Notice the stillness surrounding you. Feel the warmth of the faded sun on your cheeks. More stars have appeared, so that now the sky looks like it has been sprinkled by a salt shaker, full of gleaming crystals of salt that are the stars. Some stars are bright and luminous, while others are tiny specks that you can barely see. Simply enjoy relaxing under the starry sky, enjoying this quiet retreat. Now the sky is black. On the countryside, away from the city lights, the stars are amazingly bright. Have you ever seen so many stars? The sky is filled with so many stars, you would not even be able to count them. See the constellations formed by the stars. The sky so big and vast. A beautiful glimmering blanket of stars stretching up in a complete circle around you from every direction. Admiring the starry sky, you observe how your body is responding to it. Allow your breath to deepen and to become more intentional. At your own pace, you'll slowly begin to leave your imagined peaceful place. Slowly awakening or reawakening the body as you take note of your surroundings. You're welcome to bring gentle movement into your body by maybe wiggling your toes and fingers or taking a big stretch as you slowly return to the presence of the space that you're currently inhabiting. If you chose to lie down, you're welcome to stay or to slowly now move into a seated position for our breath work. If you happen to be seated in a cross-legged position, I'd invite you to now change the cross of your legs.
And with that, we're now going to enter the second half of our practice today. I'd like this meditation to be about the most powerful thing that we all have, which is our breath. I'd invite you to take your hand, no one can see you, no one can hear you. Take your hands and just place them on your chest. Just take a moment to observe the movement of your breath. Look at how all the different sides of your body move as your lungs inhale and exhale. Breath is what defines our lives. It's the first and the last thing we do. And there's a sacred space. There's something really, really safe about taking a deep breath when things in life get overwhelming and you don't really know what to do anymore. There's always your breath. You can now gently move your hands into another position, wherever you're comfortable. Focus on your posture and see if you can sit up straight, but stay comfortable. And we'll now look at the temperature of the breath. So notice how it enters your nostrils and how it travels down through your lungs into every single cell of your body. Notice how the temperature changes when you exhale. And see if you can deepen each and every inhale and exhale. Somewhere between your inhale and your exhale, there's a space. Notice that space. And remember, it's okay if you have thoughts flooding in, there's distractions, just like clouds in the sky. Let them pass. Don't judge them. Don't judge yourself. It's just a transient, impermanent thing that's entering your field. You've created this moment for yourself. You made a decision to find a little bit of peace in your day. And thoughts are just thoughts. They come and they go. Take a moment to notice your posture again. What's quite helpful is to sit tall and strong like a mountain, and in front of you, as still as a lake. Tall as a mountain, still as a lake. And notice the gentle rhythm of your breath, the way you might have seen an ocean, where the waves come in and out, in and out. All that movement, but there you are, strong and tall. I invite you now to think of a moment in your childhood where you were absolutely blissfully happy. It won't be difficult to remember that moment. It'll be one of your favorite memories. Perhaps you were sitting with a loved one. Perhaps you were playing with your favorite toy. Perhaps it was the first time you saw something and your eyes were absolutely big with wonder. Connect to that feeling of absolute bliss. And notice how you're able to bring that here to this very moment into your energy field. Just as you're breathing gently, like the waves, in and out. And as you're experiencing the bliss of that memory all over again in your bodies, let it really fill every single cell. Just radiate out. If you like, you can touch your heart space, if that helps. Give yourself permission to smile. That was a wonderful moment. That was a wonderful space in your childhood. And now, with all that joy and all that bliss, I invite you to create a bubble as if you were blowing a bubble from bubble gum. You're just sort of blowing it out of your mouths all around you. And suddenly you're sitting in a bubble, translucent, invisible, but there you are. It's you and your breath and your bliss. And look at what you've done. Look at what you've created at the end of this day when you've been working and attending all kinds of things. Inhale and exhale. Thoughts just passing by like clouds in the sky. And notice how there's something very powerful about this bubble that you've just created with your mindfulness and your breath. No one can take it away from you. It's yours. So whenever you find yourself facing pressures at work or things are going wrong because we're in the middle of a pandemic, all you have to do is come back to this moment that you've just created. And I'll now invite you to just deepen your breath a little bit again. Just let it all out. Relief, pride, accomplishment. And very, very, very gently, in your own time, start wiggling your shoulders and your toes and your knees very gently, almost floating back. into the room that you're sitting in. With that, I close our meditation session, our mindfulness session. We are so grateful that you've joined us. Thank you so much. And we will follow up tomorrow with some information. Thank you very much. And thank you, Stacey. Enjoy your evenings.